Here I am with a 2019 GS 350 from Lexus. It's the F Sport variant. This could be the last year of the GS. I think it's a good time to reflect, review this car, give it our thoughts, and see where this vehicle's headed in the near future. Here's a 2019 GS 350 all-wheel drive F Sport. It's a mouthful, but that's what it is. This is the 4th gen GS. It's been around, this particular generation has been around since 2011. And of course, this is a 2019 model. Some fun facts. The GS 450H is the top of the line of the stack of this car. It has 338 horsepower, but Lexus totally just silently killed it for 2019. I personally have never seen the rare GS 450H, but I was looking through the brochure to see if it was still offered. They said nothing about it, but it was in last year's. And then I found an article on Auto Trader Canada that it was canceled up in Canada. So, I mean, this looks like Canada right now with the frozen lake. To my belief, this is the only GS we can get in America. Maybe you might be able to get the 2.0 twin turbo that you also, single turbo that you also see in the NX 300, but that we don't get that here in the Midwest, to my knowledge. This car has a 3.5 liter V6. We'll go over that a little bit more in a bit. It has all-wheel drive in this particular car, which most people want nowadays. You can get it in rear-wheel drive, and it does have the 8-speed automatic transmission in it. In 2015, we got a refresh of the GS as the 2016 model. So this whole front end's brand new. Starting in 2016, you got the triple beam headlight option. Obviously, this car has it. Those daytime running lights were dropped out of the normal headlight display there. They're dropped down, and then the spindle grille is completely reworked. We do have a 311 horsepower in this car, 280 pound-feet of torque, and this car is just a little outdated in a lot of ways. So the spindle grille in the modern F Sports, that is not this basic chrome anymore. It's a darkened chrome. It looks a lot sharper. I still love the look of the GS overall. It's sharp. It doesn't look that dated on the front. The side panels look a little dated in my opinion. These wheels, they don't look too bad in this atomic silver paint color, but in my opinion, these 19-inch wheels don't look that great. In my opinion, like I said, they don't look bad with this atomic silver, but you put this on a black car or a white car, they look kind of out of place. Coming around to the back here, the GS has always had really nice taillights, no exception here. As you can see, that LED taillight looks great at nighttime, of course during the day as well. This of course also has the optional spoiler, being an F Sport model. Exhaust looks great, as well as the diffuser here in the back, but my hand's getting numb. I can't really feel the camera, so let's get on the inside. Underneath the hood, we have the 3.5 liter V6 putting out 311 horsepower, 280 pound-feet of torque with this 6-speed automatic transmission here in the all-wheel drive model. It's a gem. This motor's great. It's perfect. This car just needs a little bit more power. You know, I don't think Lexus is going to continue this vehicle. However, it would be nice to see it with, you know, the twin turbo that we have in the LS 500. But it looks like that engine's going to be possibly dropped into the IS and the new ISF. But we'll have to wait for confirmation on that. Getting on the inside of the 2019 GS 350 F Sport. It's like getting into an old glove, a well-worn glove that fits you so well. Everything's so familiar. It feels right. But it's still an old glove, and it does show its age a little bit. Did you guys hear that door close? Let's do that again. A+ door closing. Memory seats here. We got the diamond-plated trim, I guess you would call it, that you only see in the F Sports. Here are your light switches down here. Pretty standard Lexus right there. You have this piano gloss on the window switches. I wish it was the the new material that you see in the F Sport on the UX and the RC, for example. Over here we have your auto high beams, heated steering wheel, which in a lot of Lexuses now they're over here. The newer Lexus have been updated, so they'll be with, you know, the heated and ventilated seats. There'll be a button here for the heated steering wheel. Speaking of the steering wheel, very great. It's perfect Lexus fashion in terms of the stitching. Stitching is absolutely beautiful, and there's never any flaws for the most part. There are very, 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 very rare exceptions, but this is, you know, standard Lexus quality with that stitching. Stop and start button, as you can see, hasn't changed. It's still the very, very same. And then we have your cruise control fob, which is similar to the RX still. They haven't updated it, or they haven't updated the steering wheel. So this looks and feels very similar to the RX steering wheel of the 2019, for example. Radar cruise control, and then your lane departure alert. This is how you control this screen back here. And let's get this car fired up. GSF Sport, as you can see over there, very, very high quality. Everything in here feels really, really good. I don't have a lot of range, so I can't, you know, take this review across the world. This is just letting me know that the roads are very cold, and it is freaking cold outside. Feels like it's been cold for a year and a half at this point. Your heads-up display controls are right back here, so I can press heads-up display, and heads-up display would pop up right there. I think I just turned it off. Steering, okay, you can see the heads-up display, but I'm gonna have to move it. So you see these arrows here? It's very easy to move the heads-up display in this car because you have actual physical buttons. On all the other vehicles that I'm aware of that has a heads-up display for Lexus, you have to physically, well, you have to digitally change it by going through the menus. So the 12.3-inch screen in here is the same screen that you see on most of the Lexus vehicles that have navigation. It looks really, really good inlaid into the dash, and it's the only vehicle that Lexus has where it kind of melts into the dash. It looks really, really sharp, and I love that about this vehicle. Here's your windshield wipers. I'm not going to get into that. That's kind of boring. Your paddle shifters are excellent Lexus quality, the aluminum paddle shifters. Nothing new there, but it's always good to just put your hands on them because they feel great. So let's go over the styling right here. Of course, your standard Lexus clock. Your vents in the GS haven't changed for ages. Your knobs, these are looking a little dated at this point. This screen here, it's okay. It looks a little dated as well, but it still works, and I do appreciate that they still have physical buttons for things like that. Radio, media, etc. Rear and side mirror defrost. Here's your automated heated and ventilated seats for both the passenger and the driver. And I just love this diamond plate finish. I forget how much I get in GSs so rarely because we don't, I mean, it just doesn't sell. I'll put the, you know, yearly sales figures on this vehicle. It just doesn't sell a whole lot. Okay, so here's your remote touchpad, and it's the same thing as the RX. So if you're familiar with the RX, that's how it works. It's like a mouse. A lot of people hate it. I don't mind it, but it's probably because I use these things weekly, if not daily, to go through the menus there. So for me, it's pretty simple, and it takes some getting used to if you've never done before. The shifter here, very high quality. As you can see, even the indentations there, the dimples of the leather. Stitching is exquisite. It looks like a baseball. Looks great. Here's your sport modes, which is still down here since this car hasn't been updated, and I don't know if it ever will be. Snow mode. But where this would be, it would be right up here in a modern Lexus. The LC, the LS, the ES, the UX, they all have it up here. So it would be nice to have it up there as well, but I don't know if this car will ever be updated. You can see the side door there in its full glory. Up here we have your map lights that are still, you know, they're LED, which is great, but you still have to press a button for it. Here's your vanity mirror lights. I cut my hair today, guys. I don't know what you think about it. Focus. If we could focus, that'd be great. Yeah, but it's okay. And then the sunroof is typical Lexus fashion. It's a sunroof, you know, nothing special there. Opening this up, so I'm gonna do that again. So this, I don't like how this works, and this is the strangest placement for these. So in an ES, for example, this sunshade button is going to be probably up here somewhere. For some reason it's hidden in this vehicle behind this slidey armrest. And then parking assist is over here in just about every other Lexus, or it's in the menus through there, but it's over here for some reason. Inside we have a coin tray or something, and then we have a 12 volt and then your connectivity for USB and auxiliary. If we look through here, this is your standard F Sport display with the sliding mechanism. So I press this button here. These seats are very low detail compared to the modern F Sport seats that you see like in the RC, for example. The RC has really exquisitely detailed front seats, and for a vehicle of this price, it's not up to Lexus modern standards. They still look great, they feel great, but it's not what the best they can do in my opinion. Another thing I want to go over is the customized seat settings. So this is the best that Lexus has, and the reason is because you actually have physical buttons. In the LS, the new LS 500 for example, you have to go through the menus and play around with all these features. Well, here they're all laid out and it's very simple, even though there are a lot of, I mean, here's your bolstering, here's your seat extender, obviously front, back, tilt, blah blah blah. Here's the recliner, and then here is your your lumbar support. So perfectly well done. I wish all Lexus vehicles had it. The GS does it really well. Oh, and by the way, there's your F Sport aluminum pedals. Okay, getting on the back side of this GS 350 F Sport. Door sounds great on the back. It feels great. You got this Mark Levinson audio system here. This armrest is so soft and comfortable. The matte pocket here. This is a soft touch. It feels like leather. I don't know if it is, but it's still really high quality material. You see how soft and cushy this is. The rear headrest is excellent materials. There's that diamond plate material there. I should say trim. You have a 12 volt back here. You have this huge hump. I swear it's about a foot tall. That obviously the drive shaft goes back. So it would be nice also if there were, I mean, it's good that this is here, but you know, USBs would be nice as well. So again, we have that piano black right there. I can't believe I'm seeing this. It says no smoking, but that's totally an ashtray, which kind of dates this car. If they're putting an ashtray, I haven't seen any ashtrays in a modern Lexus. So even though they say it's not, it totally is. Okay, so even the armrest has this really nice stitching on here that I think really exceeds the ES, if I remember correctly. If I open this up, we have some storage in there, not much, and then there's like maybe a phone holder here. We have a pass-through which will go through the trunk since these seats do not fold down. Pop that up, and then as I sit back, it's a very comfortable seat. These actually hug you fairly well. Reminds me a little bit of the LS in terms of how these seats hug you back here, but there's not as much legroom. Legroom is adequate, but the new ES has even more legroom than this car. That sums it up for the back seat. Besides, you have oh crap bars. You have one right here. You have one up there. You have one even on the driver's side door for old people to get in. But even the headrest, guys, look at the headrests. They still have really high detail in the stitching. It's very well done. Oh yeah, I wanted to mention that the heated steering wheel is not automated. So even in the UX, you have an automated heated steering wheel, and the ES, and I think the new RC has that as well. You don't have that in here. You also don't have, you're not gonna have Apple CarPlay connectivity. Which is unfortunate. No Amazon Alexa, and there's no option here, and this kind of makes me sad because I'm a big fan of this feature. Usually you would see it like right here, and that would be the panoramic camera view. You don't have that top-down monitor that you do in the ES, which is unfortunate because the ES is pretty much better in every single way when it comes to technology, because you can even get the heads-up display. There you can see it in the ES as well. So just wanted to point out some features that you will not be able to get in the GS, as it is aging and not updated. Automated lift gate here for the trunk. I should say automated trunk. We just use lift gate all the time. There's your first stage. Here's your, in this box here is going to be your all-weather mats, and here's the mat for the trunk here. Pretty large trunk, I'm not going to lie. Of course, you have a little light back here. It's a little disappointing that that's not LED, but what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And then, of course, you have the glow-in-the-dark creeper hatch. If you pull, you could run out, escape, but, you know, I always tell people make sure to tie them up before you put them in here. And we're off here in the 2019 GS 350 F Sport. I warmed up really quick. I'm happy about that. I wish my 2004 Avalon warmed up as quick as this car does. Something that just came up in my head, just playing around with the blinker, sitting here waiting for the car to warm up, and it has the same, in my opinion, same flawed blinker system as the 2019 RC, as well as the IS, where when you press that blinker toggle down, it doesn't stay down. So if I want to turn left and I press it down all the way, it doesn't stay down. It goes back to neutral, but the blinker stays on. And so it's just, you have to know exactly the system for it. It's not very intuitive naturally. But let's get off the blinker. I'm used to it, but it causes a lot of problems with people I go on test drives with. So back to the GS. I forget just how quiet and smooth it is. It's very much, and I'm going to turn down the defrost here so you can hear me better. It's very, very quiet and smooth, just like the ES, at low speeds anyways. When you get into the throttle on this thing, I know it wakes up and it shows its sporty nature through the exhaust. The heads-up display is excellent. I have it on max brightness right now, and it's almost too bright, and that's a good problem because I've been in a few cars where the heads-up display was not bright enough for my liking. Like I said just a second ago, the steering wheel feels absolutely flawless. Why I didn't turn on the heated steering wheel, I have no idea. I just turned it on though. I can't wait for my hands to be nice and toasty. Steering wheel is an A+ in terms of feel, but like I said, I wish it was the new steering wheel that you see from the ES, for example. If they had the ES steering wheel in here, it would be awesome. This is, like I said, more in line with the RX steering wheel. Navigation for me, it's in a really, really easy to see spot. And I just really love how it's inset and inlaid into the dash a little bit. Like the RX, for example, just kind of hangs out in the open. It's okay. The ES does a better job with it, but this is one of my favorite implementations of this 12.3-inch screen by Lexus. A small detail that I just noticed I didn't pick up when I was doing the interior overview is that, and I'll take a picture of this for you guys, the fuel gauge and the temperature gauge also has a physical ring around it, just like the speedometer does. So I really, really enjoy that. I think it looks really, really good in this car. We'll do a little bit of an acceleration run here, not too much. I have a Nissan Versa in front of me. I'll just twist it into Sport Plus mode and gently roll into the throttle. Plenty of shove, plenty of get up and go. And I forget how good the GS sounds. And you have to be a lover of the naturally aspirated engine to really appreciate this. I know a lot of people, don't like the sporty nature of the GS, but that's what it's there for people who do like the sporty nature of cars. So when you get in the throttle, you hear this. And it sounds good. In my opinion, it sounds good. I know a lot of you are like, oh, I prefer, more docile vehicles. So the ES is definitely there for you. This car has a completely different nature than the ES. Even though the F Sport is a little bit closer, the engine note on that car is nowhere close to as well refined as it is on this car. I think it's because Lexus really wants to keep the ES persona as a very, very comfortable, luxurious, quiet, and calming ride. This can be a calming ride. The suspension is definitely stiffer than I would say it is in the ES by default. And remember, I'm in the F Sport, so with adaptive variable suspension, you can kind of tune when you want the suspension to be softer and stiffer, but I'd say by default, I am feeling more vibration in the road than I do in the ES. Visibility is great in here. I have no issues with it. Mirrors are a little outdated. They look like the old mirrors that you see on the older RCs, for example. They're just not quite as big, but the blind spot monitors work really well. And this particular car is completely loaded to the gills. It has every single option and feature that I'm aware of that can be put in a GS. I think there might be an optional 19-inch wheel, but I've never seen it. I've only seen it in the brochure. Oh, that's a cool lifted F-150 there. It was like a electric blue. It had like a 6-inch lift. Pretty cool. Completely worthless in terms of usability, unless you're going to be, extreme off-roading, which no one does with their lift kits. I'd say 1% might go out. Anyways, I'm just ranting. We're going to test out a little bit of an acceleration run here. I'm going to slow down a little bit. No one's behind me, which is great. So I'm going about 55. Hammer down. There's 75. And that was uphill. So this car, it has, I'm just going to turn back into normal mode. It has 311 horsepower. That was one of the best downshifts I felt in a long time by an automatic transmission. I'm not going to lie. I hammered down the gas and it instantly downshifted to the perfect gear based off how hard I was pressing on the gas pedal, which was all the way. It shifted down to the perfect gear. And this is why I love this 6-speed transmission. The 6-speed transmission in the Lexus, yes, it's not going to be as fuel efficient. I'm going to get in front of this Nissan Sentra here. It's not as fuel efficient as you would have it in an 8-speed or the 10-speed in a few of our Lexus vehicles, but this 6-speed just doesn't have as many gears to choose from. So when you put the foot down, it's so instant. It doesn't have to think about which gear, because it has far less gears to choose from. So it picks the closest gear based off of how hard you push the gas pedal down, and it just goes. In theory, an 8-speed or 10-speed would be quicker, right? Because you maximize the power band. But at the same time, unless you have a perfect relationship between the computers in the car and the transmission, there is a hesitation in a lot of these transmissions that have so many gears. I see that in the 10-speed LS, for example. The downshift I just got in this car, I have never had that sort of instant gratification that you get in this car. You can't find that in the LS. The LS has a lot more power. It's got tons more torque, and it is a lot faster. However, you want the car to respond to your inputs, and this car does that very, very well. And maybe the IS still does that too. I believe that's still in the all-wheel drive trim. It still has that 6-speed automatic transmission, and it's sad because these aren't going to be around much longer. And I know those 8 speeds and 10 speeds are pretty new. I just hope that Lexus and these other automakers get it down where it communicates perfectly to the driver, and to the computers pick up perfectly the input that you are desiring to get out of the vehicle. So anyways, that's my rant on the larger transmissions in terms of speeds. I'm going to switch this puppy into Sport Plus mode. This has adaptive variable suspension. I'm going to push it pretty hard around this turn here. A good amount of body roll. Gosh, and it just shoots out of that corner. It really likes to hang on to the gears in Sport Plus mode. You can probably hear this V6 just hanging around 4,000 RPM, expecting me to push it out of these turns. It's definitely a different monster in Sport Plus mode. There is a good amount of body roll, but I don't feel like it's too much, or that this car can't handle itself in the turns. It definitely can. But we've made it at the lake, and it's pretty frosted over. I don't see the geese, which is unfortunate for you guys. Some of you hate it when I talk about the geese, but they make me happy, so I feel like sharing. Overall, the 19 GS, it does feel outdated. It's a little sad because this car has so much potential. The problem is no one's buying it, and Lexus is not selling these vehicles at a high volume. and they're not updating it because it would be almost a waste of research and development. Lexus is in a funny position with their sport sedan. You almost have to get the LS at this point, the full size, if you want a modern sports sedan. Now the ES 350 F Sport comes close, but this thing has a much firmer ride in my opinion, and it also sounds much better than the ES ever has. If you're into that, if you like a more rambunctious exhaust note. But I don't see this car lasting maybe one more model year, and then 2021 at the latest they're cancel it. And the reason is the ES is going to get all-wheel drive, and you know, this car is the only mid-size luxury sedan that Lexus has. It has all-wheel drive currently. So with the ES being so close to it, I don't see this car lasting much longer. And it's sad, but it's just the nature of the car market. All these auto luxury, all the automakers and luxury automakers are really gravitating towards crossover designs because they just do so much, and that's what people want, and they're a great value. So I'll see you guys in the comments below. It's kind of a send-off video for the GS 350. It's a beautiful car, and we're going to miss it if Lexus decides to can it. I'll see you guys later. I have 8 miles of range left, and I have exactly 8 or 9 miles. I guess it's not exactly. I have roughly 8 or 9 miles left till I get back. So let's see. I'm in eco mode, and right now I'm currently getting about 17 miles per gallon. So let's see what happens. I'll let you guys know if I get stranded.